Hello, welcome to Dungeoneers Pack, a channel bringing you player-focused discussions and character guides for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. My name is Josh, thank you for watching. The Unearthed Arcana article Subclasses Part 4 introduced two subclasses for the Bard and Warlock centered around the undead. For the Bard, we got the College of Spirits, which is inspired by mediums that use tarot cards, Ouija boards, or other mystical items to contact spirits to help them on their adventures. In this video, I'm going to go over the mechanics of the College of Spirits Bard, my opinion on it, and how you can fit this subclass into various official 5th edition settings. Before we get started, an easy way to support this channel is to like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that notification bell to know when new videos are up. You can also support us directly at our Patreon by becoming a Dungeoneer. When you become a Dungeoneer, you get access to an exclusive role in a private chat in Discord, access to all the character build scripts, and you will be able to listen to an audio-only version of each week's video before it goes up. You can find a link to the Patreon in the description below. With that said, let's get started. Starting at level 3, we get 3 abilities from the get-go. First up is Guiding Whispers. Simply, this gives us the guidance cantrip and it doesn't count towards our cantrips known. We gain a buff for this cantrip that increases the spell's range from touch to 60 feet. This cantrip is a neat way to showcase the character communicating with the spirits to offer advice to other characters. The next ability is Spiritual Focus. We can use a candle, crystal ball, talking board, Taroka deck, or skull as a spellcasting focus. When we are level 6 and use this special spell focus item to cast a spell that deals damage or restores hit points, we can add a d6 to those rolls. This ability really sells the spirit medium character fantasy. I can also see the list of spiritual focus items expanding to also include other character concepts that consult spirits like shamans and witch doctors. The buff to damage and healing seems minimal and comes online a little late compared to other Bard subclass abilities, but this benefit uses no resources and works on all of our damage and healing spells. The last level 3 ability is Tales from Beyond. This ability heavily relies on chance. As a bonus action, we can roll and spend a bardic inspiration die to roll on the Spirit Tales table. We keep this tale on hand until we either bestow the effect onto someone or finish a short or long rest. To give the effect to someone, we must use an action and choose a creature within 30 feet of us. If the effect requires a DC, the DC is equal to our spell save DC. There are a total of 12 different effects that we will gradually get access to as our bardic inspiration die grows as we level. They are as follows. First up is the Beast. It gives advantage on perception checks and attack rolls against one creature if another enemy is within 5 feet of it for 1 minute. This effect is great when enemies are clustered and you have it on hand, but since obtaining this effect is dependent on chance, you may not always be able to capitalize on that circumstance. The next effect is Warrior. We make a melee spell attack against a target, a spectral warrior briefly appears in an unoccupied space within 5 feet of that target, and when that attack hits, the creature takes force damage equal to 2 rolls of our bardic inspiration die plus our charisma modifier. While straightforward, this is probably one of the effects that anyone playing this subclass will not be disappointed in having on hand. The one thing that needs to be made clear is whether the additional bardic inspiration die used for rolls takes away from your pool of uses. Since the effect doesn't state it expends those die, my assumption is that it does not and is just using their die size. There are other effects on this table that require us to make additional rolls with a bardic inspiration die in the same way. Next up is the Friend Spirit. 2 targets within 5 feet of each other regain hit points equal to a roll of our bardic inspiration die plus our charisma modifier. This is an interesting buddy system healing ability that is great to have in our back pocket. Friends is the first effect on this table that can be used outside of combat. Next is Runaway. A target can use a reaction or teleport up to 30 feet, and the target can also choose a number of creatures within 30 feet of it equal to your charisma modifier to use their reaction to teleport as well. This effect is Misty Step on steroids. Not only can we or a single target teleport, but any creature around them can do the same thing as well. This effect can be a mass escape option, used to catch the party up to a group of enemies in a chase, or used to mass move the party over a broken bridge. Next is the Avenger Spirit. Whenever a creature the target can see within 30 feet of it is damaged by an attacker, the target can use its reaction to deal force damage equal to your bardic inspiration die to the attacker. This effect is just short of being really good. If it instead allowed the target to make a melee attack on reaction with the additional damage, it would put it on par with some Battlemaster maneuvers. The 6th spirit on this table is Hero. We choose a creature within 30 feet of us, they gain temporary hit points equal to 1 roll of our bardic inspiration die plus our bard level. While they have those temporary hit points, they gain an additional 10 feet to their walking speed. The longer I play this game, the more I realize how good having temporary hit points is for characters. This effect only gets better as we level. The additional plus 10 feet walking speed for any character is just cherry on top. Next on this table is Fae. The target must make a wisdom saving throw, and if they fail, they become charmed by us until the end of its next turn. The charmed target must use its action to make a melee attack against another creature of our choice. This is an awesome effect if we can manage to pull it off. Since we are spending our Bardic Inspiration die, there is a chance of feeling cheated out if they end up making the save. The next spirit on the table is Dark Spirit. The target becomes invisible until the end of its next turn or hits a creature with an attack. If it hits a creature with an attack, the creature takes additional necrotic damage equal to a roll of our Bardic Inspiration die and is frightened of the target until the end of its next turn. This is super effective if you give this effect to the rogue in your party. It's even more deadly if that rogue has taken up the Assassin subclass and can get the surprise drop on a single target. Next up is the Giant. Each creature of the target's choice within 30 feet of it must make a strength saving throw. If they fail, they take damage equal to 2 rolls of our Bardic Inspiration die and are knocked prone. And if they make the save, instead, they only take half damage. The Giant presents reliable damage with an upside of potentially giving your team a chance at melee attacks with advantage. Next up is the Dragon. The target magically spews fire from their mouth in a 30-foot cone. Each creature in that area must make a dex saving throw, taking fire damage equal to 3 rolls of our Bardic Inspiration die on a failed save, and half as much on a successful one. This effect is a variation of the Dragon's Breath spell from Xanathar's Guide to Everything. It has the potential to be stronger due to rolling 3d10 worth of damage, and have greater reach, as this effect has a 30-foot cone when compared to Dragon's Breath having a 15-foot cone. And next up is Celestial. A target regains hit points equal to 2 rolls of our Bardic Inspiration die plus our Bard level, and it ends one disease or the blinded, deafened, paralyzed, petrified, or poisoned conditions. Celestial adds another healing option on this table and bundles it with lesser restoration. This effect will be great to have on hand, especially in the higher levels where these conditions may be a more common occurrence. And the last spirit on this table is Unknown. A creature within 30 feet of us must succeed on an intelligence saving throw or take psychic damage equal to 3 rolls of our Bardic Inspiration die and is unable to speak any language for 1 minute. For the last option on this list, we are presented with a Save or Suck option that only comes online at higher levels. While the damage is nice, I'm not really seeing how useful pressing the mute button on an enemy is. I find this mechanic interesting and pretty fun. I usually shy away from mechanics that rely on chance, but I'm really liking this mechanic as it is evocative of speaking to a single or multiple spirits that dispense their wisdom. The effects on the table are mostly variations on different spells, and they do scale at higher levels with our Bardic Inspiration die. Even though I enjoy the mechanic, I don't put it past anyone that would want a scaled down version with less options and more consistency in getting the option you want. At level 6, we get the Spirit Session ability. We conduct an hour-long ritual channeling spirits using our spiritual focus. We can conduct the ritual with a number of creatures equal to our proficiency bonus, and at the end of the ritual, we temporarily learn one spell of our choice from any class, but the spell must be a level equal to the number of creatures that we conducted the ritual or less with, must be a level we can cast it, and must be from the divination or necromancy school. We know the spell until we perform another ritual or finish a long rest. This would be an amazing ability if the magic schools were not restricted to necromancy and divination. Hunter's Mark is a divination spell we can pick up with this ability to reliably up our damage per round, but since it's concentration, we can run into problems with wanting to use one of the many crowd control spells that require concentration on the Bard's spell list. Another option is to eventually use this ability to pick up Dance Macabre or Animate Undead as a way to bring undead to fight for us. The last ability for this subclass is at level 14, and it is Mystical Connection. Whenever we use our Tales from Beyond feature, we can roll a d6 instead of using our Bardic Inspiration die. This ability is straightforward, in line with other Bard subclasses like the College of Swords. Just like the College of Swords, this allows us to continue to use the subclass's main ability without dipping into our Bardic Inspiration die to fuel it. We just limit our potential options, but the first 6 on the table are still great. Now, how does the College of Spirits fit into 5th edition settings? For any standard fantasy setting, this subclass totally fits as a fortune teller or tarot card reader in any campaign similar to Curse of Strahd. In Eberron, this is perfect for a Pteranodal elf who communicates and is guided by their patron ancestor spirit. In Ravnica, you can play as a member of the Orzhov Syndicate who uses the many spirits under their enslavement while they pay off their debt to the guild. And in Theros, you could be a champion of the god Athreos with the ability to communicate with Eidolons to help you fulfill your god's goals. The more I read this UA, the more I like this subclass. The abilities really capture the flavor of being a spirit medium. My main but minor criticism comes with how expansive the Spirit Tales table is. There are a total of 12 options, but they might not always be useful depending on the situation you find yourself in. I won't be surprised if the options get reworked to also include more out of combat options, or that the options themselves get trimmed down. If they do slim down the options, it would coincide with limiting the probability to get the desired choice more frequently. Even with that criticism, I don't find it as an actual issue that hurts the subclass. Many of the effects on the table are variants of spells, so it feels like we are gaining a spell at the cost of an inspiration die instead of a spell slot. I can easily see myself playing this subclass in a variety of games. I would probably use the Spirit Bard to play a shaman-inspired character that follows the oral storytelling traditions of their people. Now I want to hear from you. What do you think of the undead-inspired subclasses? If you want to see more content like this, let me know in the comments down below. You can also find me at the Dungeoneers Pack Discord. A link to the Discord can be found in the description below. Alright, I'm out of here. Have a good one.